Hello.
Hello.
So, first of all, a very happy new year to all our viewers and to my friends on the screen here today, the ones you're seeing on screen here today. So, I'm going to take a quick moment to first of all introduce our new host. Drum rolls. Hey, Pratibha. So Pratibha is going to be one of the new hosts for the this podcast, either Startup Harate. So from time to time, she will also come in and host an episode. So that's how we're going to look to scale this podcast, and we're going to look for a lot of love and support from all of you. And so we have been away for a little bit. We took a year-end break, although we didn't kind of announce it. Sorry about that, but now we're back. And in our first episode in 2021, Happy New Year, by the way, we have two of our friends, Ankit Gupta, drum rolls again, and yeah, so Udai has taken charge of all the drum rolls today. So
Someone
Udai,
has to do that.
yeah, Udai and Ankit are the co-founders of a very unique startup, something that I myself am a huge admirer of. It's called Dialogues, and what they're trying to build here is a company that helps build communities. So they want to build sustainable communities. So let's talk to them in further detail about what that means. How do you build a business model around it? Pratibha and I have a bunch of questions for them. So, guys, have you had your breakfast? All set?
So let's start the dialogues rolling now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, do you want to tell our viewers a little bit about what Dialogues is? Ankit?
Yeah. I'll just take a moment, and I guess as Mandar has already mentioned in a one-liner, that dialogues we are in the business of creating communities, and basically what we have done and what we are working towards is building sustainable communities through offline and online interactions. And we've taken small steps towards it, and the communities that we are building currently is mostly around interests and hobbies that people like to pursue, be it books, movies, travel, music, poetry, etc. And the idea is, as the name suggests, the idea is to have conversations around these interests and hobbies and bring like-minded people together. So when I say we build a community around books, so the idea is to have conversations around books and not just, have book launches or, I guess, it's not just about having meetups where just one person is the limelight. We tend to, the meetups that we tend to have are the ones where the focus is on the book and not on a person. So it's all about getting everyone together and basically providing a kind of a safe space where people feel free to talk about their passion and interest.
Great. So, Uday, what are the communities that you currently have up and running? On what
So
topic?
as of now, we have around 6 communities. Like Ankit mentioned, to start with books, we have music, we have poetry, we have cinemas. These are the ones which are very active. Then we have sustainability, we have wellness, uh, and we have others in the pipeline that we are yet to begin with. And we are taking a step-by-step process, trying to grow a brick by brick wall kind of a stuff. Uh, and yeah, so that is where we have our daily engagement going on, just not with the meetup per se, but then we are encouraging our members to have meaningful discussions, meaningful dialogues, conversations, wherein they share their viewpoint, they share their recommendation, they share their work, and then as a community we appreciate that the discussion, and then we take it to the next level. Yeah.
Okay.
So Uday, you mentioned sustainability. So we'll get to detail about that, and we'll talk about sustainability in depth.
Sure.
So could you like walk us through the inception of the idea itself? So when did you guys start working about the idea? So what prompted you to actually think about it? So
Yeah.
could you just
So
walk us
this was
through?
in 2015. Yeah, long journey now. Seems like yesterday though, wherein we were ideating about what to do next in our lives. I was working with BCCL. Uh, not said tired, but then yeah, wanted to get rid of my mundane life of cracking deals and then getting revenues for the company. And Ankit was just back from his HEC Paris, and a few other friends. We started ideating on to what to do next. So we used to spend a lot of time in different cafes and all of that, largely Starbucks and CCDs. And during that journey, we realized that all the ideas that we were working on did have a problem statement, but the one that we were going through, which was every space that we would spend time, we always had this guilt that we need to order something, and that prompted us that this could be a bigger problem than we can envisage, and that small iota of problem led to the other blocks of chain for us, wherein we started ideating towards how people associate themselves to a space, how people come together, what are the things that go into a sense of belongingness feeling, and so on and so forth. And that led to the seed of creating a social space concept, wherein like-minded people can come and then do what they love to do. That was the bare foundation that we want to set in. And that's how Dialogues came into existence for us. Uh, we started in Bangalore in 2016 with a basic time model. We want to get rid away, or rather make a change in the industry itself and not sell F&B. So we thought, let it be time person, because time is the most precious asset that anybody has, and allow people to do what they wish to. So we design the space accordingly, wherein people can come and do meetups, wherein people can have the me time, a lot of books in our library, a lot of artwork that we have kept, and so on and so forth. And then our journey unfolded one step at a time. To begin with the retail audience coming in, then to add events and workshop. Um, when we started doing workshops is when we realized that people are busy with their mundane rat race, and have forgotten the old days of playing carom boards or chess, or just doing a painting, or maybe listening to somebody's poetry, storytelling for that matter. And then obviously mental wellness was kicking up those days. People started expressing about their anxiety and all of that. So somewhere we felt that we could be a reason for somebody's joy, for somebody's happiness. And that led to starting of different meetups. We picked up books to begin with. Uh, and then we added travel, we added cinema. We saw people coming in, having fun, doing a storytelling format, everybody expressing themselves. And slowly, we added different communities, in the last being the board games. Uh, so while this journey was going on is when we realized that people are hooked onto social media for unwanted attention, maybe a kind of FOMO, or a kind of push aspect. Ki, nahi, we need to put something on social media, get into an engagement which might not serve any purpose, and then in turn create anxiety that, oh, that guy has gone to US, and I'm still stuck here. He is so happy and I'm not, and so on and so forth. Is where we guys felt that we need to figure out a way through which we create an online platform, um, and see if in case there can be an integration between online and offline for people to come and meet, have a sense of belongingness and a purpose in life, and then in turn meet like-minded people. So yeah, in short, that's how it panned out for us.
So you come to Dialogues because you want to do something, and the coffee is just incidental. Is that the right characterization?
Yeah, absolutely is.
Okay, all right. Um, so what are your so what are some of your earliest experiences? What kind of challenges did you face? So you said you started in 2016, right? And today, of course, there are many communities. There are several members. Several of them are
Yeah,
the order of hundreds of people. But
yeah.
initially, in the first couple of years, what kind of challenges did you have to face, especially given that your business model was different? Was there some sort of a resistance in the mind of the customer? How did you overcome those challenges?
The first challenge was with us, with ourselves. I mean, we're not from the hospitality background. We don't understand the brick and mortar space at all, for the matter. Let even the coffee machine part. Uh, so it was the first step for us was to convince ourselves that we can do this and we can figure this out. But the best part in us was that we were ready to take that risk. We were ready to take the plunge. We wanted to see what is on the other side of the bridge. So we were open to those challenges. And because we didn't come from this background, so day zero, the first minute itself, all the challenges started pouring in front of us, right from how we want to design the space, the kitchen size, what kind of cups, the staff that you hire. Uh, so that was the initial challenge that we came up with. And after that, it was not easy to begin with to convince customers as to why they should pay for time. But slowly and slowly, what we realized was that people were accepting. They started showing respect for this model. They understood that yes, this is much more meaningful and makes better sense than going to any coffee shop and forcefully ordering something. So we, though our initial mindset was that we will have people those who are not in for the F&B but for do something. But largely, we found that the audience is big. And they started expressing themselves that we are happy that you're not forcing us to eat or drink something, and you're not bothering us. We can work at peace. Uh, and then the points came around the back end, the operations aspect, as to the vendor management and so on and so forth. The coffee powder time pe nahi aaya, at times the vegetables didn't come. The customers are waiting. They place the order. The gas has gone off. Small things like that. And then at times the Wi-Fi went off. And the customers were like, my video call is on hold. What do I do next? And so on and so forth. So we didn't visualize all of this while we were starting, but as and when we reached the bridge, we could figure out as to what needs to be done. And it was fun to plug those gaps. uh, and those gaps, there were more gaps that we learned as we moved forward. The other challenge that we realized was when we started to look at the community angle. So people have this different conception. Okay, I mean, every space thinks that customers who walks in, and all the customers, they are a community. But largely, we've seen it's a hopping crowd that you have. People come to CCD for a certain reason, and they move out. Maybe next time they go to a different place, until unless the coffee becomes the reason. Uh, and so we wanted to break that myth. We wanted to work towards the angle wherein all the walk-ins that we get, we can create a kind of a bonding between what Dialogues has to offer and what their expectations were. So we started to add those elements. We started to create that vibe which makes better sense for a retail customer, for any of his or her requirement. And and that's how the story moved forward for us. And when it came to the meetups angle, I think word of mouth helped us. The, in our minds, I mean, books was the easiest bet, but then to expect that yes, on day zero you will have 10, 15 people, and every time you get those 15, 20 people for the meetup was challenging. But then we realized that if in case you do something which is in line with somebody's interest, in line with somebody's expectation, I think you can get that right. Uh, and I think we were a little blessed on that aspect that we had few partners who got that well for us, who guided us, and yeah, so that became the starting point. We had a trust in few of our friends, and then they trusted us that yes, they can take this forward. And that's how the journey started for us in the community building, with the likes of you and the likes of Ale and all. So that helped us, friends of friends and friends of friends, and then we slowly started building the community. Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you so much, Uday, for that insight. So, Ankit, I'm going to ask you. So, Uday was mentioning that both of you did not have any background in the hospitality industry. And when you talk about hospitality industry, it is highly subjective, right? And there's no like a single rule of thumb that would apply for everyone. And also, there's a lot of psychological aspect involved in it as well, right? So, in fact, I was reading an interesting blog on your website as well about it, how you try to bring in that psychological aspect, with your customers. So what were some of the biggest challenges, especially since you both are not from the hospitality background? So what were the learnings initially, and yeah, what was the biggest challenge?
I'll just add to one small point that Uday mentioned. I think it might have got missed कि वो जल्दी जल्दी भी बोलता है. Like he mentioned, कि because there were many challenges and there were many operational challenges. One being कि the gas just goes off, gas खत्म हो जाता है, and मतलब it is क्या कहते हैं उसको, when something is to go wrong, it does go wrong.
Okay.
And the gas will always go out on a Saturday evening when the cafe is full and it is rain.
Yeah.
So that it is very hard for you to get a replacement. But yeah, having said that, we learned from that small mistake, and we made sure we always have extra inventory going forward. If we are using 2 gas, we have 2 spare gas always available. But having said that, because we are not from the hospitality industry, and the basic idea behind opening a space was to not open a cafe, but to open a community space, a social space, and to bring a concept out to the market, and say that there is a different kind of a space that can come and provide you with an opportunity to interact with like-minded people. It's not just about because you're stepping out of your house, or you're finishing your work and stepping out from your office. It should not just be about going out and having drinks or having food. It can also be about having those meaningful conversations with people who share similar interests with you, because it's not always that you might have friends from college, you might have friends from where you work, and you might have great brothers and sisters or great family members, but not necessarily they might share the same interest as you. So there has to be an outlet, there has to be a space, be it offline, be it online, where it sort of, the space is trying to facilitate for you, or taking that first step for you to help you meet people. And then I guess it's all up to a person's personality in the end, if they want to take that second step and go forward with it. So our lack of hospitality background was made up by the passion that we had towards building that kind of a space. So that kind of averaged it out for us.
In fact, I would kind of say that Dialogues is not a hospitality business at all. It is, like you say, it's a community building business, and hospitality just happens to be one of the elements of this industry. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
Right. So yesterday, Pratibha and I were talking about this. Okay, and we said, okay, she said, this is a cool idea. So tell me, you know these guys. Tell me, how do they operate? And I told her, so there are communities, and if you go to one of the spaces in Dialogues, maybe the JP Nagar one, you'd go there because you want to do something fun. The coffee would be incidental. And she's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But then this involves an element of going out, right? And collaborating and meeting with people, right? That physical presence seems to be a very key element of it. So then, Pratibha was like, there is this question that we have to ask about how COVID has influenced this business. So Pratibha, am I framing that question right? Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely right. So the whole point of such a community building is about that physical presence that Mandar was mentioning about. It's all about socializing, being there in the moment, right? So with these unprecedented times, then where everything is virtual now, right? So even a coffee meetup these days is online, virtual coffee meetup. So how has it really impacted, and has it made you guys to think about your business model, to see, because this pandemic is not something that's going to just go away in a bit, right? So the virtual world is the new norm at the moment, at least, right? So how was it for you to deal with initially, and how is it right now? What is the current situation?
So yeah, I'll answer this to start with. It was obviously something that no one can predict, and so, sorry, but yeah, it was it was a shock last year in March. I remember sitting in Feb last year when we were all watching this on news and wondering what's started to happen in the world. And then 2-3 weeks later, it just started happening basically in our neighborhoods as well. So it was literally a shock. And I guess our philosophy around community scaling was always to have online presence. So COVID kind of sort of gave us that another push to work towards it. And like Uday mentioned briefly, people, without a fault of theirs, but the people do feel having some followers on social media or having some likes on their posts and such is the community building part that they are doing. However, there is much more detail that needs to go into it. It has to be a two-way conversation. It has to be conversations around something meaningful, and it has to result in to be sort of beneficial for both the parties to be interested in. And people need to come out as a better person or need to learn something out of a community. Only then the community actually functions in a better way. So though we were running offline communities at our own spaces for the last few years, the idea was always to scale it up by sort of trying to provide a similar experience in an online or in a virtual world. COVID did allow us to experiment, and we obviously had to shift to online activities, though the meetups and the discussions might not have the same focus virtually because of sometimes it's technical. People are not used to be talking so much online, and that was at the start. But now it is sort of getting to a point that people are just there's too much virtual stuff happening, and there's too much digital fatigue also. So those things come into picture. Those are the new challenges of trying to run online communities to continue having those discussions. But technology has to come into the picture for any business to survive, and we are embracing it, but we are taking it slow, and we are trying to our best to stay true to our community building effort. And as Uday mentioned, and hence we're trying to build our own internal community platform to help ourselves and probably other businesses also who are looking to build their own communities, try to help them as well.
So interesting thought. I want to come back to that platform idea, but before that, let's take a question from the audience. I mean, this now I have to say audience in quotes because this question is from Vinay Bharadwaj, and he says, "How's the financial journey for an endeavor like this? Is this more of bootstrapping, like any retail, or is there any fundraising involved, especially as you scale?" Uday, you want to take that question?
Yeah, the first one was bootstrapped. I mean, when we opened Koramangala, that was absolutely through our own investments and savings and all. For JP Nagar, certainly, yes, we reached out to a few of our customers. It's not friends and families, it's not investors, but those people who have been part of our journey during Koramangala, we reached out to them, and then few people came in support, and they said that, yes, we believe in this concept and idea. So yeah, so we would like to partner with you guys. But yeah, if you look at the scale aspect, then you will need to raise money. The business can support to an extent, but depending on the goals and the objectives that you might set for yourself, the larger consequence can be that you have to go to a VC or HNI and then raise. As of now, we are bootstrapped with some support from Talos customers.
Okay. And how easy or difficult is it to convince an investor to put their money into your venture, given the nature of the business?
So given any business, I think the conviction will all depend on the traction that you get. We've not yet jumped into that zone wherein we start engaging with investors, but we would like to believe that with the experience that we have taken up, which is 4.5 years, 5 years now, and the traction that we have shown with the companies that we have created, the footfalls that we've had, the smiles that we have spread. So I think it not be challenging. It not be an easy way, but then I think we have a story out there to convince them. And I think uh, the hook that we are also looking at is the community aspect, because that is the need of the hour. And like Pratibha asked, and what Ankit was saying, so the time has come wherein you balance the online offline platform. So you will find people who, for whatever reason, good, bad, ugly, but then they will be hooked to the online digital presence. But at the same time, they will be looking at the offline me time as well, with friends or families or just for themselves. So the direction that we would be looking at for a larger for larger purpose would be that, yes, if in case you can find the integration in place between online and offline, and then hence build communities. So yeah, we're excited on that front for sure.
Sounds awesome.
One question. Sorry, Mandra. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you. So I have one like small follow-up question. So since we are talking of online presence and since we also talked about finance, so I have one question. So in fact, recently I was talking to a musician friend who was mentioning to me the biggest challenge of all these virtual things, virtual concert is right. So there's no physical presence involved, and there is this mindset of people, you know, who think that, you know, why should I pay for something when I'm not physically there, right? So the notion that everything that is available there on the web, you know, the whole online thing has to be free, you know, that is the kind of notion that many people have. So how challenging is it going to be, you know, for you guys on that front? If you could briefly touch upon that, maybe Ankit, if you can take that one.
Yeah, sure. So I guess what the future holds, no one can say for sure, but we can just give our opinions. I guess it's not everyone who thinks that way. But yeah, monetizing workshops online is comparatively a little bit difficult because the same experience, obviously you can't even remotely create the same experience as you can with like even a small concert of 300-400 people in the same room, and then the artist playing in front of you. Obviously that is a different experience as compared to online, where people tend to even do multitask, you know, like they might just shut their video, answer a call, watch the concert, and they'll be like, hey, why should I be paying for this? And we believe that's where the power of community comes in, because let's say the musician you were talking to, he had a true community of people who are actually not just his followers, but people who are able to interact with each other, who are able to interact with the artists themselves, and you know, then once that artist can convey that there is value, because there is education required as well. It's not there's a lot of effort, and maybe at this point of time, maybe more effort that goes into organizing such things virtually, because on the offline level we are used, we have done it, we are used to how things are to be organized, but then online brings its own challenges, and to provide a good concert for a musician virtually, it takes effort. It takes a lot of effort, and people need to be educated to the fact that uh, if someone is making that much effort to bring that entertainment to you, it's fair to ask for some kind of ticket against that effort. But people need to be educated, and we believe it can't just come from throwing out information online. It has to come through conversations. People need to understand what kind of effort is going into it, and if someone is pursuing that there is a reason for it, and yeah, matlab, it's totally fair to ask for matlab, it again depends on who is performing, and but yeah, bottom point is it's fair to ask for some and not to provide everything for free. Matlab, yeah, there's a lot of free stuff going out there, and people just putting content after content and just hoping कि अच्छा free content डालते रहते हैं, and then we'll see where we get to. But yeah, there is merit in paid content as well, and we believe again, coming back to the point of community, कि community matlab, through a community you're able to educate people on how or why they are being charged and what are they being charged for. That makes sense.
Right. Makes sense.
So just to add one point, Pratibha, on that. So I think it also boils down to the behavioral change. So I think it's important that we understand that people are used to paying for something that they can see, feel, the touch aspect is there. They go to a space, there's an effort that they put in, then they enjoy the content, they enjoy the time. Now it is the luxury of being at home. And what this COVID time has done is that it has given birth to a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of content creators, and just too many right now on different platforms. So the difference boils down to the quality of the content. So something that we strongly believe in is that if in case with or without community per se, that, but if in case there is a content which is of a certain quality, then certainly yes, there should always be a price tag on that. But if in case you are looking at building your audience, because in the end you just have so many players now, so many musicians, so many artists, so many content creators, so many bloggers. So you do end up creating kind of content which is free so that you can attract the initial audiences, and then in turn pour them something which is different, which they've not heard of or which they've not seen before, and that can create some kind of excitement.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. There's always this difference in the quality, right? So there's definitely going to be a change slowly, as you were mentioning. Yeah, that's a good point.
Very cool. Let's take maybe one more question from the audience. Okay, Sudeep Sajjan says hello. Hey, Sudeep. And his question is how to start a tech startup without being a techie. I think that question is not extremely relevant because Dialogues is not really a tech startup, right? Tech just happens to be one of the components here. Is that right?
So we weren't, but the direction that we are taking is that we will be moving towards the tech side, because what we learned and realized is that I think tech will be the enabler for us to create and manage communities, let it be offline, online per se as well. And to answer the question, I think I mean neither me and Ankit we're not techies, we can't code, but I think the ecosystem has evolved. It's much easier now to find people who can support you, who can be part of your idea if in case they are sold to it, and they can join you for your journey. So I think if in case you have the conviction and zeal that yes, this idea is something that you strongly believe in, and there is a problem out there that you can solve, then just about talking to a few people and then getting it sorted by bringing like-minded co-founders or friend or somebody, and then taking it a step by step. And the best part is you just have too much of content right now. So you have too many suggestions, too many great ideas that can help you. And that's what we looked into. And that is where we got a conviction as well that yes, uh, we are not techies, but I'm sure we can build it. And that's how we got a few people on board for helping us now.
That's awesome. Sudeep, I hope that answers your question. And I want to ask our audience a sizable number. Thank you for joining, first of all. And please do keep posting your questions and comments and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified of more such podcasts, more such content coming your way. So, Pratibha, I want to ask them. So earlier we were talking about that platform, right? Ankit and Uday both touched upon it. And Ankit made a very interesting observation. He said, so this, once you build this platform, we could even help partner ecosystems, you know, start developing communities quickly, right? So walk us through that, Ankit and Uday. Uh, is the idea to eventually, have a tech platform that, kind of scales up the building and maintenance of a community? And is the idea that you want to eventually become sort of a Shopify for community building? Uday?
Yeah, it is.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I
Go,
should
bro,
have
go.
waited.
Too much of a long pause there. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought because it's Ankit, I
यार
thought maybe
एक
the
मिनट
question
और
was
रुक
targeted
जाता.
towards him. कोई नहीं, भाई बोल.
But
All yours.
yeah, the idea is similar in terms of execution. So basically, the platform that we are building, and it's matlab, first sort of product is almost ready to roll out. But yeah, the idea is to take our learnings from how we have managed and how we have seen communities or interest-based communities evolve, and we want to apply that operational knowledge and try to bring it to an online platform. The idea is that the platform will not be built on seeking validation or validation in terms of what we feel personally is ki, acha, I've posted something on social media, unless I get 100 likes, people don't like me. So that kind of validation is something that we are not seeking through this platform. The idea is to enable, as I said, have that first step from the platform side to enable conversations, and then obviously, as I said before, the second step is up to the individual to take, but we want to be that first step for them, to be able to connect them with people and provide a safe online space for people to be able to interact in a meaningful way. Just 1 second.
So just to add to that, so Manda, what we have in our mind is that we have a few set of segments for us. One is the people themselves, which is the hobbies and interest angle, wherein we create communities like the books and the travels, and we expect people to come and engage themselves. The second aspect happens to be that we also want to take our learnings to different corporates, because community engagement need not be limited to just hobbies and interests. We see a wider scope on that, wherein it can also be between an employer and employee. Uh, Now with this work from home concept, so we believe that there'll be some kind of percentage of people who will work from offices, and some percentage would be glued to their homes. And companies will have issues on managing the engagement aspect, and I think both will be treated separately, because work from home will demand something else and work from office will demand something else. We feel that we would like to play a role in that by offering our community services. Similarly for brands as well. As time would pass by, I think brands would like to consolidate or bring in all their beloved customers onto one single platform, wherein they can engage with them directly and not on different platforms per se. Uh, so we certainly see ourselves as a plug and play in future. But we would like to take it step by step, wherein we focus on one category of business at a time, and then roll it out to the next one with our better learning. And that's where we are at here right now. We want to differentiate ourselves with those different features, wherein you take care of the wellness aspect of end user. And hence what Ankit was saying, wherein it's not about the likes and the validation aspect. It's more about what kind of engagement that you're getting into. It's about what is the takeaway from the engagement. It's about not your immediate friends and families and strangers, but it's just about those people who share common interest with you. And that would hold true for almost every group of society or neighborhood. So yeah, so I think the scope is wide. We just have to take it step by step. But yeah, it should be a plug and play for most of the industries to come together. Yeah.
So Uday, along that lines, I just have a small question or small comment rather. So you were mentioning about the wider scope, right, and about the hobbies and interests. So another perspective, is also about all these support groups, right? So it's not, when you say socializing in the community, it's not just about all the fun times, right? So there are situations wherein you want to connect to somebody who's had a similar tragedy or similar life experience, and you want to be able to share your feelings, because those are extremely difficult times to go through as well. So have you guys
Absolutely.
thought along those lines as well?
Yeah, so when we're talking about wellness community, that is exactly what we have in our mind. So wellness for us is mental wellness, the fitness aspect, and all put together. And I think mental wellness is way deep. So we're looking at zones wherein people are comfortable expressing, wherein they don't shy, they don't feel anxiety while they are expressing. They don't have this fear of being judged.
Exactly.
And that's the vibe that we intend to create. And that is what we have done in the physical spaces while we're doing our various meetups and when we're interacting with our customers. And that's something we want to take it forward with our communities as well. Uh, uh, it's not easy to achieve because every person behaves and reacts differently, but I think the more push aspect is there from the platform and from the admins and the members at large. So I think the society at large will also start believing in that, yes, you need to have those basic traits of listening and not judging, uh, and hence be a platform wherein people can come and express. Yeah.
Right. So there are a few more comments from our viewers, and I
Yeah.
find one of them really insightful. Um, Sudeep Sajan says, what I suggest is that you contact schools and colleges first as your first community customers. What do you
Hmm.
say to that? That sounds like a very interesting comment. Schools, colleges seems like spaces where there is the highest potential for building communities, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. That is our, not for the first step or the second step, but that's in our radar. We are building ambassadorship different colleges so that they can pass on our learnings to their campuses as well and create in turn different communities based on interest and hobbies. And obviously, yes, when the platform is ready, we want them to come onto our platform and then engage there and have the online offline integration. But then, yes, I do agree with him that. And yeah, glad we're on the same page as well, I think. So that is something we are certainly looking in, colleges being one of our bets for sure.
Awesome. There's one more question here from Amit Kulkarni. Uh,
Hmm.
is your model similar to WeWork?
No, Wework is an absolute co-working space wherein people go there for a certain reason, and then in turn they become part of the ecosystem of Wework, and hence a community. So I think, uh, and I think Wework does something on the lines of engagement as well, wherein they make it a point that they take care of their members by conducting some kind of the other activities. But in the end, Wework is in the business of not community engagement, but in the business of selling its real estate. And that's where the difference lies. Yeah, with the co-working space model. And we are just looking on the other side of the coin.
Right. So let's just take one last question, and this is a very
Sure,
important
sure.
question. And after that, maybe Pratibha has a question. So Arvind just says, "Where is Vinay today?" Now, this is $1 million question, and even I don't know the answer to this. My best guess is
Ask
that
in typical Nikhil Ellidyappa style, Vinay Ellidyappa.
Vinay the Pantha, we can put one hashtag and start some posts.
Yes.
I think that is on a serious note. He's just taking a break. For those who missed the initial part of the episode, so meet Pratibha. Pratibha, say hi. So that is our
Da, 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 da. Oh, the drum didn't beat this time,
yeah.
bro.
So Uday has taken the responsibility for drum rolls in this episode. So Pratibha is joining us as one of the hosts. For every episode, it's going to be any two of the three of us who will come forward and host an episode. So that is how it's going to go forward. As for Vinay, today he is taking a break, but
Hmm.
he should be back soon. All right. So Yeah, Pratibha, you wanted to ask them about, management. You had some questions around that.
Yeah, so one of the questions that I have is basically, what according to you is, the most important skill the a CEO needs to possess, right? And you having a formal management background, so how helpful has that been? And can you just talk a bit about that aspect?
Uday, you will need to answer this question.
Long pause
There is,
again. Yeah.
Okay.
there is no
Okay.
point having a pause.
Mantle of,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it does help the management aspect. I mean, more than the education, I think the experience does matter. Uh, uh, Having work experience around 10 to 11 years did help me as far as managing the team and getting resources in order and prioritizing things and so on and so forth. Not an easy task. But eventually, what I realized is when you start something of your own, it's absolutely a fresh start. It's a zero sum game. I mean, wherein you have no idea what tomorrow is going to be like. In a corporate structure, you still have a fair essence of that. And when you are pursuing your MBA, you have certain expectations. But when you are having your own baby, you have got no idea how the baby will react tomorrow. And hence, it's been a day zero and almost all of the month that we went through with. Uh, so management part, I think, to Ankit skipped that question, but yeah. So for us, it was more about having trust, having faith in the concept, having patience, wherein we were clear on the fact that yes, come what may, we will march till the end, shoulder to shoulder, and that is what mattered to us the most. And then rest of the things, I think we were blessed. We had friends, we had customers, who we had partners who supported us. And I think that happens in the journey when you are little loyal to your own soul and not the purpose is something which is a little more deeper. I think then things fall in place for you. Yeah, and rest, I think, I mean, I'm not the person who will say that yes, management is something which is important or you need to have certain skill set per se. I think you learn on the go, and that's fun. That's
Iterative
fun.
process, right? It's mostly an iterative process. It's not like a one-time thing anyway.
Yeah, correct. And you will realize that what you learn in colleges might not just hold true. I mean, those are just for good for theories, but in practicality, it's all different. So yeah, each day is a new day, and each day comes with different challenges that you might have not learned of, you might have not heard of, but it's going to be fun to solve them.
I've had the privilege of knowing these two guys for a while now. And I can say one thing, that both of them understand that you cannot become a leader by behaving like a boss. I think that has been one of the things I have observed about them. Ankit, I want to ask you, so in a typical startup, right, that's building a product or building a service, it's very easy to imagine what are the different roles that would exist in that organization, right? So help us understand, what are the key roles that exist in dialogues, and what kind of people do you look for? How do you find people for those roles?
So, well, the key, if we talk about key roles, so again, that has evolved for us. When we started out, the key roles happen to be uh, people who could cook, and people who could who know about managing a cafe. So that's how we started looking out on day one. Like I guess the first person to join our team apart from the founders, we found him working at the CCD next to Dialogues. So it was just, we were having coffee, and that is where we used to have coffee all the time while Dialogues was under construction, and that person, we got to know him over the 2 months that we spent there, and then we asked him here. And basically how we've always recruited anyone, from the first person to the next person that we will recruit, is by telling our story. We're building a space for people. We're building communities, and that was the story we told Ram who was the first guy to join us. It's not a cafe that we are opening, and this is our story. Do you want to join us? And luckily, he said yes, and he's been with us for the entirety of it.
But in terms of these communities, right? For example, if you're going to build a community for books, which you have a community for cinema, kind of what kind of people and what kind of roles exist there?
So, in terms of communities, when we talk about communities, basically, there are not that many roles within a community from a company point of view. Basically, we just look for someone who is a people person, who is not shy to talk, and basically has an interest in that. Because if you're not interested in books and you're asked to manage a community of books, you'll obviously not give you 100%, and then the community will suffer. And then the person needs to be mature enough to be able to moderate a discussion or to be able to resolve a conflict. So those are just basic 2-3 things that we look for. And apart from that, as Uday has mentioned already, we look for support from within the community itself. People who have spent time in the community as community members to help us take that community to the next level. So we look for two-way support, because only then the buy-in is there from the members themselves, because the word community in itself means it is for the people, by the people, of the people, kind of a thing. So it's not like an approach from our side that Dialogues is managing the community, or Dialogues is just providing people and then they will take care of the ongoings of the community. It is just key Dialogues is providing that platform or trying to facilitate. And whenever a discussion, or maybe there is no discussion happening, then we'll just try to ignite that spark so that then the members can take it forward. But in terms of looking out for people, we generally just look for people who have sort of interest in that particular domain, and basically can talk well, and
Okay.
And have an
So
interest in
Mandar,
talking.
to add to that, that's how things have been. Certainly, yes, for us, uh, we have few roles that we look at for sure. One being that from the community itself, we have admins who are, for us, I think they are the senior most people, or the senior most team, or partners who've been there with us, or who have the expertise, the knowledge bank as to what the community unfolds into. The captains are mere representative of Dialogues per se. And then we have moderators. Moderators are those who host regular meetups and engage with members. So as Ankit said, I mean, the captains do get hired basis the passion that they have and basis the basic communication skill set that we feel is required for the community engagement. But the growth of the community also largely depends on the admins and the moderators, who though come from the community themselves, but there is a difference between every member and the admin person. Like, for example, you're there for the books, so the expertise that you bring on table is different from any other normal member, and then you have somebody who can be a moderator for the meetups that we conduct. So as we go forward, we feel that we will have admin from a books community, and then we will have some circles, which could be a Kormangla circle, which could be a Whitefield circle, or which could be a genre per se, and each circle will have its own moderating team, who in turn is governed by what admin sets the agenda or the rules of the book for the community. So as we grow big, there will be more people who will join us. There will be captains, there will be more moderators, who in turn will work with the admins. So we have the purpose in place, and then we match that up.
It's fascinating to think about that complexity. There's a larger community and there are sub communities subsumed under it, and you're
Yeah.
saying there are captains who are essentially youngsters working for Dialogues. There are community partners who are acting as admins. I think it's a very complex recipe, and I have to say, you guys have done a fantastic job, cooking this up. And personally, it has been a great experience being a part of your journey. So I know that both of you have engagements lined up for the rest of the day, but we just want to quickly say thank you for joining us today. It has been a real pleasure having both of you here. And this is a special episode also because for the first time, this is Pratibha's first episode.
Pratibha, yeah.
Debut.
Drum rolls again, Uday. So this is so in many ways, this has been a great episode. And we want to thank our viewers also. Please keep the love coming. Please post your comments, questions. This video will get posted on YouTube for later viewing as well. All right. So anything else that we need to quickly touch upon? See, this is like a typical Zoom meeting. Anything else that we discussed?
Yeah,
No,
thank
but
you
you know
so
what? I mean,
much.
thanks a lot, dude, for inviting us. And you know what? I mean, and personally, I really appreciate the fact that you are actually doing this. You are inviting people from Karnataka and then setting a community so others also get to know what's happening in the city. And I think this is the need of the hour. And I really hope and wish that you bring in more people on board and you continue this engagement. And it unfolds into something which is which matches with your end vision as well. And thanks for having us, dude. I mean, it's been our pleasure that we were we are your friends, and then we are also your first guest in this new year.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, once again, and wishing you guys the best.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Pratibha.
having us.